Hey guys, it's Greg from East Coast Dies. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the theory of shooting strings. I already did a video tutorial on how to string shooting strings, so you can check that out. So today will be just a little bit of theory of what type of shooting strings you choose and what the placement should be, and how that will affect how your stick's going to throw. So first off, there's essentially three different types of shooting strings, three ways you can string them. The first and by far most popular is weaved. And these are the type that I recommend, and these are just weave shooters where they just go in and out, one through each diamond. Another type is barreled, and this is a type of rolled shooter where it's all through the same diamond, but string is weaved through the same diamond twice. And there's also shooting strings known as rolled shooters, where there's one string that runs across the back and another one that barrels around, and it shares two rows of diamonds. So in general, I recommend weave shooters. They're the most simple to string, the most simple to upkeep, and overall just the best performing. And so that weave shooter is the tutorial, or the shooters that I have the tutorial for. So once you decide what type of shooters you want, then you have to decide what configuration you want them in. So then there's basically three types of that as well. You can have a nylon, you can have a straight, which is just a regular shooter that goes straight across, or you can have a U. So first let's talk about the nylon. The nylon generally goes at the top of the head and is traditionally done with sidewall or nylon string, so it's thinner than the other shooting strings, and it's what you use to string the rest of the head. And so a nylon is going to be a little bit harder, and it's going to make the ball come off of it a little bit harder. Now you can pull them tighter or looser, but generally it's going to make the ball come off a little harder. So usually I like to put nylons at the top of the stick so the ball will come off them and not hit the scoop. But if you prefer the ball to click off the scoop a little bit, you can use just a regular cloth shooter. So generally people only use nylons in for a straight. You don't usually use them for U's. So also the second type is a straight. Now generally these are done with like hockey laces, cloth shooters, so instead of the sidewall it's a thicker, fatter, and flatter shooting string. And there's sometimes known as hockey laces, shooting strings, any number of things. So you can have them that just go straight across, and this is going to provide the smoothest release and the least whip. So you'll see a lot of Canadian players and box players that, like this head, have 3 or 4 straight shooting strings right across, and that's going to provide a really smooth release with really low whip. And what you want to do when you do that is make the top shooter the tightest, the second a little less tight, and finally the third or the fourth being the loosest. So it should go tightest to loosest as you go down in the head, so it creates a nice smooth release. So straight shooting strings are going to have the smoothest, lowest whip release. So another type of shooting string you can have is a U, and that is when instead of coming straight across, you have a section that comes up, then straight across, and back down. And so this is going to create a little bit more hold and a little bit more whip. Since it's going to hold the ball when it goes to go side to side, it'll have the shooting string to hold it in some. So when you string them, you can have different widths across the top of the shooting string that's going to affect the amount of hold or whip that it creates. So a shooting string that's a little bit wider, like this one you can see is 5 diamonds wide, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is going to have more hold and whip than one like this that's 3 diamonds wide, because it's going to have a much more gradual release for a 3 diamond wide one than a 5 diamond wide. So I like to personally combine 2 different widths of U's so that one of them, the 5 diamond wide one, frames the channel where the ball is going to come out, and the 3 diamond one helps create a nice smooth release when you're throwing. So U's generally create more hold and whip than straight shooting strings, and nylons will create a little bit of snap for the ball to release off of if you like a little bit of feeling when the ball comes out. Also, something that will affect how your stick throws is the placement of your shooting strings. So generally, shooting strings that are higher up in the pocket are going to have less whip, and the lower you place them down in the pocket, the more whip and the more hold you're going to have. So that's the general basics of shooting strings. Of course, there's a lot more to learn about them, but that's a general overview. You just have to play around with what you like. If you try a couple straights and it doesn't have enough width for you, try a U, and so on and so forth. Just adjust it until you find what you like. But anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the Lacrosse Network for daily lacrosse clips and LXM Pro coverage, and also subscribe to East Coast Dies.